Sills, hour number 2. Appreciate y'all coming aboard. We're going to take a look at the final exhibition week of the season here in a second. And I'm also going to give you my true contenders to win the Super Bowl, not to make the playoffs. How many teams do you – we'll get to that here in a minute. I first want to start this hour off by doing this. Hey, Kobe, happy birthday to you, dude. Your legend grows. I was never a Kobe Bryant fan when he was playing. I am a gigantic Kobe fan now. Isn't that crazy? I guess it's because we got a chance and other people that were around him. 45th birthday today. Just telling these legendary stories. Because Kobe was like Tiger and Jordan when they played. They never told you who they are. Did you even know what political party Michael Jordan was when he played? I don't even remember him talking politics. Tiger, same thing. I didn't know anything about those guys. And I just thought Kobe was a ball hog. I was more of a Shaq guy. So maybe that's probably why I was a little bit polluted when it came to Kobe Bryant. But, dude, he's made me a better dad. I make sure I tell my kid every day I love her because nothing's given to you. I mean, no matter what your fame is or who you are, you got to live in the moment. You can't be worrying about 10 years from now. It'd drive you crazy. You got to live in the moment, man. And, when you hear people like Phil Jackson or you read something that Phil wrote in a book that Kobe was going to be the most miserable human being in the history. I understand because we kind of talked about that yesterday a little bit about some of these eccentric guys. They're just maniacs. Kobe looked like a great dad. He had repaired his relationship with his wife. Hey, man, what marriage hasn't had bumps and bruises? But because Kobe Bryant was so polarizing and so much of a star, his personal relationship, people go like this. Kobe was a bad husband. No, Kobe was a flawed husband. We all are flawed. Don't walk around like you're better than someone when you've done maybe the same ills that someone else has done and casting judgment on someone else. You have no way and no right to do that. Well, Kobe was a bad husband. Really? Well, you know what? There's a bunch of things I wish I could walk back over to. If I'm being honest with myself, hey, I've been married 33 years. Do you think there's a few years that I'd like to have back and maybe walk a couple things back? Absolutely. Okay? It's just what it is, man. When you're together that long, I think it's about persevering. Because, hey, love? It's funny when I ask my wife that question. She goes like this. I ask my wife this question. I stop asking it. I don't ask my wife this question if she loves me anymore. I don't. She looked at me and she goes like this. I've been with your fat ass for 35 years. What do you think? The last time I needed that. Kobe made me think about all this stuff. I don't even ask that question anymore. Dude, my friendship with my wife is more important than the love for my wife. Friends, right? Friendship lasts forever. Love is fleeting. Love? What's love got to do with it? Do you do right by one another? And to see what Kobe became as a dad and how him and Gigi, and he was like trying to get her into UConn, wanted her to be a WNBA player. Okay? Cool, man. Don't you have more respect for Kobe today? And listen, it's hard to talk to Philly people because they knew who this guy was. He didn't learn Mamba mentality in LA. You don't really think he learned Mamba mentality in Los Angeles, do you? I mean, he learned that thing in Philly. He learned that thing showing up to the gym with his dad, Jelly Bean. He learned competing. He saw Michael Jordan. He saw go. Hey, there's a lot of parallels between Kobe and Tiger. Tiger's dad loved Jack Nicklaus, and Kobe's dad loved MJ. And those were signature role models in those homes. Shit, man. Tiger put up all of Jack's major championships, all 18 of them. Kobe had posters of MJ. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome, man. See, Jelly Bean, what was cool about him, he said this is what you got to do. Do this, 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 and this. I didn't do this, and I wasn't good enough to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. You do all these boxes. And then he knew he had the talent. The only thing he had to do was outwork people. Do you know why Kobe was such a workaholic? He realized he was more talented than anybody else in the league and that he could outwill people and outwill talent. The same thing Jalen Hurts is doing. Jalen Hurts has talent, but he outwills the other talented guys like Justin Herbert. Am I right? Jalen outwills. He's got good talent. You know, it's the coolest thing when you find out if I work harder than you, I'm going to get ahead of you. I'm not going to be better than you, but I'm going to get ahead of you. I tell my daughter that all the time. Like when I got to college at Miami, man, there were 21st team All-Americans in high school. More talented than me, I thought. We had a guy in there named Darius Frazier, who was a parade All-American, Gatorade All-American defensive tackle. I go, I want that guy, and I want that guy's scholarship, and I want that. I went in there and beat him out. I got all the way up next to Jerome. I left there, only Jerome was better. And I had Kennedy and Maryland behind me. They weren't better than me. Not at that time. It was just hard work. I outworked you. It's such a great thing when you know that all I have to do is put more time in. He'll quit. He doesn't have the intangible. Like, look, who do you think is going to get further in their careers, Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts? Kyler Murray is a more gifted athlete than Jalen. But Jalen's going to have a better career. He's just going to have a better career. Okay? Hard work, man. Hard work. And maybe not as talented, I'll take it. I'll take 53 of them dudes. Take 53 of them guys. Okay? I want to get to the NFC East here in a second also. But I do want to throw this out too. I want to show you the difference between organizations that are preparing for the upcoming NFL season and teams that are in position to win a Super Bowl. And I want to show you something here. Look at the Colts. It's shocking. And does it now make sense why Peyton Manning wants nothing to do with the Colt organization? He looks at himself as a Denver Bronco. I now know why. He doesn't want to publicly say it, but have you ever seen Peyton Manning doing a ton of events for the Colts? They may honor him every now and then, but it just seems like he's so distant from that relationship, a place where he had incredible success. But he identifies himself as a Bronco. He lives in Denver. He loves the organization. He does stuff with the organization all the time. He's always doing shit with the Broncos. He never does anything with the Colts. I mean, they got to kind of like pay him for events, I heard. I think this has a lot to do with the owner, Jim Irsay. And I think it's because of the way Jim Irsay handled even Peyton Manning with his neck injury, because he wanted Andrew Luck so bad. You know, when they threw Peyton Manning out the window and they just said, hey, we're going after him. We want Andrew Luck. I don't think Peyton Manning ever really forgave that. That owner, man, Now he's making enemies with Jonathan Taylor. What's the point 10 days to the start of the season? I can't. Now, you know what? I'm going to take something back here. Tone, I've said this before. I'm going to say it now. I don't think Tony Dungy and Peyton Manning underachieved in Indianapolis. I think they overachieved because they had to overcome that dumbass owner. They had to overcome that guy. They won a Super Bowl in spite of Jim Irsay. They overcame. They didn't underachieve. Quite frankly, I'm stunned they won a Super Bowl. Actually got to 2 of them. Okay? Maybe in the third hour we'll do the Buddy story. Am I right when I say this? I'm not so sure any longer, Buddy. I'm not so sure any longer that Tony Dungy underachieved. Jim Irsay, it's a conveyor belt of bullshit every year. The owner does something absurd. Why did you get rid of Carson Wentz again? You haven't had a quarterback in the building to duplicate what he did. Why'd you fire Frank Reich? Why did you draft Anthony Richardson? Anthony Richardson, sorry. He may turn out to be the next Cam Newton. More power to him. I would never have taken that. That's the kind of gamble there that you're talking about Trey Lance shit. Anthony Richardson looks like Trey Lance to me. I don't know. The only difference is that he played in the SEC. We shall see. Why in the world would Jim Irsay alienate his best offensive player 10 days? Hey, you want to trade? Go ahead. God, this guy plays with that football team like he plays with his memorabilia in his museum of memorabilia. He thinks the players and the coaches are all like memorabilia pieces that he could just put in a museum and everyone likes to come and watch it. He's not thinking about winning Super Bowl. Do you actually think the Colts are thinking about winning a Super Bowl? They can't even win today. It just makes no sense, man. I mean, it's like even Jerry Jones doesn't F it up like that. Irsay's usually good to his players. Since when? You think he was good to Peyton Manning? The way he handled them? You think he was really great to Dwight Freeney at the end? Take a look at some of those endings that players have had in Indianapolis. Not the best. You think he was great with Brackens? I don't know. I don't I don't see it. All right, before I get into week 3 here, I wrote these teams down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 10 teams that I think can actually win the Super Bowl. 10 teams. Okay? Marshall Faulk didn't finish his career in Indy. He finished it with the Rams. Edgerrin James does like Jim Irsay. I've talked to Edgerrin. Here's the teams in the AFC that I think have these are not playoff teams. I think these teams have chances to win the Super Bowl. The Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Jags, and the Chiefs out of the AFC. Those would be my 5. I think 5 teams legitimately have a shot to win the Super Bowl out of the AFC. Okay? I think they have a shot to win it. Now, remember, you got to play against those teams now if you're the NFC. I'm going to take that team off because I'm actually going to take that team off. How many teams do you think in the NFC have a legitimate chance to beat the Bills, Ravens, Bengals, Jags, Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I don't think the Jets have a chance to win the Super Bowl. No, I do not. I don't think they have a good enough offensive line. And I don't think they have a really good enough offensive coaching staff. James, what 3 teams? I do not think Detroit has a shot to win the Super Bowl. Their goals are too lower. They're talking about making the playoffs. Their goal is not to win the Super Bowl. Eagles. Eagles, that's it. Scott says Eagles, that's it in the NFC. Eagles, Dallas, Niners. I think that's the 3. There's only 3 teams out of that I think can win the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Cowboys versus Bills. They're not beating them. Cowboys versus Ravens. Maybe. Cowboys, Bengals. No way. Cowboys, Jags. Cowboys, Jags. No Saints. I think they're going to, hey, Pete Toilet, I think they're going to win 12 games. Get knocked out in the divisional round against the better teams because the better teams in the East are playing tougher schedules. Again, the Saints will have more wins than the Eagles this year, but they're not the better team. Don't confuse that. Just because I'm picking the Saints to win home field advantage, that doesn't mean I think they're a better team than Philly. I think they play nobody. They're in a shit division. I think they'll probably sweep that division. Whereas the Eagles are not going to sweep their division. And you're playing AFC teams. You're a better team. You're playing better people. You're not going to have the same record that a team that plays tomato cans. Isn't that common sense? If you line up 17 tomato cans, chances you're going to have a pretty good record versus lining up against teams that are really great. Okay? Just use some common sense there with that. Like you could be an 11-6 team. The Saints could be 12-5. Okay? Who's the better team? The Eagles. If healthy, the Eagles. And it's really kind of a little bit close, but not crazy close. Plus the head coach. I mean, Dennis Allen. So far, I haven't really seen a ton out of the guy, and he sucked when he was with the Raiders. I don't know. I mean, hey, Miller, I'm not saying to you the Saints are better. I don't think they are. You play a tough-ass schedule this year. Hear me out, Sills. It's so hard for me to really take the Cowboys serious, and here's why. What have they done differently this offseason that makes you believe they truly can win, let alone make it to the Super Bowl? Year after year, they have real talent, and year after year, it's supposed to be their year. It's a fair comment. What have they done? Here's the most important thing that the Dallas Cowboys have done this year, especially on the defensive side. They brought continuity back. They got continuity. You don't. Okay? Now, does that translate into Super Bowls? Here's why I give the Cowboys a chance to get to the Super Bowl. They got to get out of the divisional round. And if they get into that NFC title game against the Eagles, they have a track record of beating you. I mean, it's one thing what Tone just said. He's right. They've got 2 years in a row now where they've won 12 games. Albeit, man, early exits. Get it. They did take a healthy 49er team on. They retired Brady. I mean, the Cowboys went Brady, the healthy 49ers. The Eagles went Daniel Jones and Christian McCaffrey. Victors go the spoils. They got home field. I think if that was reversed, I'd like to have seen that. Okay? The Eagles have to go to Tampa because they would have had to have gone to Tampa because Tampa was the division winner, even with a losing record. And would have had to have played Brady. Would they have beat him? I think so, for sure. Okay? Then they would have had to play the 49ers. Okay? Because the Cowboys would be playing the Giants. That's how that would have played out. If it would have been vice versa, or the Cowboys. It would have been Cowboys and Giants. So he's not wrong. They haven't won big games in 27 years. I mean, I showed it to you. Tony Romo, 0-3 in divisional games. Dak Prescott, 0-3, but 8-3 versus the Eagles. Okay? The Eagles are the Cowboys, for whatever people say, and I will hold to this, they're made to beat Philly. They're built to beat Philly. I don't know if they're built to win a Super Bowl, though. Sounds crazy. You know, it's funny, too, that people look at Mike McCarthy. We're going to find out what kind of play caller Mike McCarthy really is. Okay? Mike McCarthy's won a Super Bowl as a play caller. Well, he's not really good with his timeouts, and he's not really good with 2 minutes in and 2 minutes with the remaining game. Neither was Andy Reid in Philly. I wouldn't put Andy Reid up there with clock management and say that Andy Reid was some sort of demon and dealing with timeouts and clock management in Philly. Would you? I don't really actually think Andy Reid was a very good coach when it came to 2-minute warnings and the end of 2 minutes in the game and dealing with timeouts. I think his clock management, he was kind of like Mike Martz. I thought him and Mike Martz had a lot in common on how they called plays. Mike Martz never gave a shit about like challenges and shit like that and timeouts. He was full gas on the pedal, man. That's how Martz coached. And there was a lot of similarities in how Andy Reid and Mike Martz coached. That's how I saw it. They weren't really great. They weren't really great when it came to dealing with like timeouts and 2-minute warnings. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about them. This isn't the first time they've had continuity. They had Garrett for 9 years as a coach. They had talent back then. The reality is, regardless of what happens to the Eagles, they just can't get it done. It's just who they are and who they have been. Well, you know, I tell all you guys, this is what it is, and that's actually not an opinion. That's actually the facts on what Tone's saying. That's not an opinion. See, I look at a statement like that, and that's what that is to me. That's a statement, not an opinion. And it's a factual statement. Okay? Until proven otherwise. What is going to make this year different? I think Dak Prescott's legacy is on the line as an NFL quarterback. He's either going to be here. Dak Prescott is either going to start putting himself in the category of Troy Aikman and Roger Staubach, or he's going to be in the category of Tony Romo and Danny White. I think that's what this is this year for him. You're either Danny White, Tony Romo, or you're Troy Aikman and you're Roger Staubach. You can't look at Tony Romo and Danny White and go, well, those guys have all the passing records. Yeah, there's a reason. Who has all the titles? Staubach and Aikman. Do you know that Romo and Danny White have all the passing records? and no Super Bowls. Well, White does because he backed up Staubach, but he was the punter. Okay? I'd say this year he's got to. I say Mike McCarthy. The question, I think the overall what Tone is saying, in my opinion, the overall, like, above it all is, can Jerry stay out of the way, is probably what stopped the team the last 27 years. Just that's the beautiful thing with Kraft. Kraft gets in the way when he has to. He doesn't need to. Jim Irsay gets in the way because he needs to, because it's his nature. And it's Jerry's nature. You know how everybody thinks that they want to be the offensive coordinator? I said this years ago, and I'll give you guys a great example of it. And I'll compare two coaches to what we're talking about here. Then we'll move on to week 3 of the NFL here. So when Ray Perkins, my coach in Tampa, had just come over, he was single-handedly picked to take over the Bear Bryant football program. You got to remember something about Ray. Ray turned the New York Giants around. He drafted Lawrence Taylor. He drafted Phil Simms. He hired Bill Belichick. He hired Bill Parcells. He's the guy that got in there, Gary Reasons. He's the guy that brought in all those great coaches. Romeo Cornell. Those were all Parcells. Those were not – everyone's under the assumption that Deflategate that year, everyone's always under the assumption that Parcells brought those coaches in. Tom Coughlin. It's not true. Those were all Ray Perkins guys. So Ray leaves and gets the Alabama job because Bear Bryant single-handedly picked him. Well, he wants to get back in the NFL, Buccaneers and Hugh Culverhouse. This is what Ray did. Ray was the OC. Ray was the quarterback coach. Ray was the head of personnel. Ray was the vice president of operations. Ray was the head coach. This guy wore so many hats, he wasn't good at any of them. Jimmy Johnson, now when you're with him, he hires the assistant coaches. He's in charge of the personnel. And the meetings are like this. He goes around the practice field. He sees the D-line coach, the O-line coach, secondary coach, all these guys coaching. And then what he does, he gets in the meeting and goes, give me your report on what the DBs did today. Give me your report on the D-line. Tell me what we're doing here. Gets his coordinators together, puts them together. They have a staff meeting on how they're going to attack this team. Jimmy doesn't do any coaching. He doesn't do any play calling on game day. Has none of that. He has no say in the plays. If the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, it'll be like an atomic bomb. You're going to have to wear noise concealing headphones. Oh my God, the place will go nuts. Absolutely. Those are great delegators. I think Nick Sirianni, you know what, personally, I would say this. I think Howie Roseman wanted more of that as a head coach, and that's why Sirianni's the head coach of the Eagles. Sirianni's really not a play caller. He's more of an overseer and an observationist. And it's kind of like he coaches his team like Jimmy did. But the difference is Jimmy wore both the GM hat and he wore the head coaching hat like Nick. But he never got in the way of the assistants. Not until they got into their staff meetings. You know, I tell people this all the time. That Herschel Walker deal was done on a run. Dave Wannstedt has told that story here numerous times. They were in the midst of the 1-15 team. Jimmy and them, they went on this run every day at noon. Every year I knew him, and every year in Dallas, they went on this noon run. All the coaches, you had to go on it. And this is where they talked shop. They didn't talk shop inside because Jimmy always thought that there were too many years in the building. Jimmy's running down the street in MacArthur Avenue and Thousand Oaks, not Thousand Oaks. Where are they? Valley Ranch. They're running down the road, that cobblestone road. Jimmy looks over at Dave Wannstedt and goes like this. I think I'm going to trade Herschel Walker. And Dave's like this. Okay. Walker had come off a 1,500-yard year and 750 yards receiving. I mean, this guy was an all-pro. And Jimmy's like, I'm going to trade him. What's the point of having him? And he goes like this, what do you think Jerry would do? I guess I don't give a shit what Jerry does. He put a deal together with Cleveland. And Jimmy constructed this deal with Cleveland, had it done. And last minute, Minnesota came in. While all the coaches were coaching and doing all that other shit, Jimmy was constructing the team. My point again, I think that's kind of what Howie and them envision with their head coach. They don't want a guy involved in being the offensive coordinator, being the play caller, being a guy who's a quarterback. I don't think they want any of that. I think Doug wanted a lot of that control because that's control. But again, if you're smart about it and you know how to manage Howie, I think that's what Nick's great strength is right now. Nick's great strength, in my opinion, is that he's managing Howie. He's not in Howie's way, and it's working. That's a talent too. Like, I would not go here and go like this. Nick Sirianni's some great coach. But at the end of the day, are you winning? Is there chaos in your organization? Is there any kind of bullshit going on? No. The head coach can create so much shit, can sabotage an entire organization. And he's, going along with what they're doing. I think it's a talent. He may not be, by the way, personally, he was a shitty play caller when he got to Philly. He was 2-5. He was 2-5. They took it away from him. He just didn't hand it over. That's not how play callers are. Another sad thing about the Cowboys and why they can't get ahead is they keep their players out of the news cycle. They can't keep their players out of the news cycle. Defensive end Sam Williams gets arrested for alleged possession of weed and an unlawful firearm. They have no culture, no structure, no discipline. Well, to all of that, in really a simple phrase, they have no accountability because the head coach is the guy that you usually are accountable to. You get to go to your butt buddy, Jerry Jones, who pays you, drafts you, talks to you, loves you, and treats you like his son. Well, unfortunately, you don't really treat him like your son. You treat him like a girl. I mean, sometimes you got to come down on this stuff here, man. I mean, the Randy Gregory stuff, that was a poorly handled deal. Let him walk out the building for $500,000. Dumb. Randy Gregory, though, would probably let him walk out because he's not the great character guy. You had Greg Hardy in the building. I've always respected organizations that take shots at players that have dents in the fender. I've always respected that. Okay, I have. As long as you get it right. Like the Eagles taking a shot at Vic. I loved it. Why? Well, Vic never did any shit again. He's never done anything. And he's true to his word to this day. I hope it stays that way. And by the way, I believe it is. I think Michael Vick is a better man today. Okay? I'm a fan of that. I root for that. I root for Michael Vick. I mean, look, like I said, nobody on the planet. Can you imagine Michael Vick in today's environment in the NFL? Trying to get a job back in the league. After all that, even if he was sorry, went to prison. Dude, you're in Leavenworth. You're pressing license plates. You spent 18 months or whatever it was in prison. Hard prison. You didn't go to some sort of Martha Stewart, Dublin, California jail where you have golf courses and swing sets. This guy's pressing plates. I don't know about you, man. I think this guy served his time, and you know what? He gets an opportunity to rehabilitate himself. But most of you use the word rehabilitate, and you don't mean it. You don't mean it. You don't mean it. You say and you think you mean it, But people make mistakes, man. Jalen Carter, great example. Hey, I'm giving the kid a benefit of the doubt. You know how the Eagles, you know what's great about the Eagles with Jalen Carter? What's great about them, okay, they don't have to tell Jalen Carter that they believe him. They paid him and drafted him. This is the pros. Don't talk to me and tell me what you're going to do. Just do it. And I'll know through your actions how you feel about me. Dude, we today in our country and in sports love to be told dumb shit that never happens. It never happens. How frustrating. The Eagles go, hey, I don't have to tell the kid Jalen Carter we love him. I drafted you 10th. What more do you need? Nothing. Nothing. You don't have to tell me you like me. You don't have to tell me you are thinking a lot about me. I love that Slay's calling him Rhino. He looks like a baby rhino. You're right. There's a reason you don't hear about the Eagle players getting caught up when your players have respect for the culture. It shows their behavior. Like you said, the Cowboys are the Kardashians of the NFL. All they care about is the uniform, TV ratings, and company parties. Yeah. It's not important to hoist the Lombardi trophy because Jerry doesn't have the priority. The owner doesn't have the priority any longer. See, he looks at it this way. My brand has gone up from $154 million when I bought the team to $10 billion. I got 3 Super Bowls. I don't need any. What else do I need? Whether I got 3 Super Bowls in the first 5 years of me owning the team, I got more Super Bowls than Tom Landry. I got more Super Bowls than Tex Schramm. I got more Super Bowls than any owner of the Dallas Cowboys in history. What do I need to prove? You understand that, right? Jones has more Super Bowls than any guy who's ever owned the Cowboys. What's he need to do? Okay. Ben goes like this. He wants to win. You're wrong. Okay, Ben. Real quick then. Who's the one person he can't replace? There's 2 really. Jimmy Johnson and himself. If you wanted to win, you would fire yourself as GM. And let somebody that understands how to run a team like Howie in today's NFL. He runs it like he's in the 80s. He has not replaced Jimmy Johnson or himself. He did win with Barry. You mean with Jimmy's guys? Okay. The last 30 years, those were all Jimmy Johnson's players. Barry even said it. This is the biggest mistake of your ownership when he took the job. Larry Lacewell told me what was said in the building. Where's Jimmy? Well, Barry, he's fired. And he looked at him because he coached him at Arkansas. How could you F this up? And within a matter of 3 years, the Cowboys have never won a divisional game. And it's been 30 years since they've been to one. I mean, what are you talking about? He wants to win. Don't you think after 30 years of being the GM and never getting out of the divisional round? I mean, dude, he's been nothing but failure. I don't get that guy. He wants to win? Where? Where has he won? He replaced Aikman. He replaced Emmett. He replaced Michael. He replaced his defense. He hasn't been able to replace Jimmy Johnson. Why is that? Because Jimmy was the GM and head coach, and Jerry thinks he's the owner, GM, head coach. I'll tell you what, too, Ben, you can say whatever you want. This ain't an opinion. This is a fact. What's the common thing that what Tone says? What's the common theme since they won their last Super Bowl? Jerry Jones is the GM, and they haven't won. And their culture has no accountability or respect for authority. Let me say this to you. If you effed up with Coach Johnson, he had a thing, and I posted this because I saw that Urban Liar thing, that Swamp Kings or whatever. It was just a knee pad job on Urban Liar to try to help his image again to get another job in college football. He is such a scumbag. Urban Liar is the worst. He is terrible. He's a terrible human. He's a liar. No one respects him. I mean, thank God he had baby Jesus and Tim Tebow. He is such a phony. And that Swamp Kings or whatever the thing is was just a knee job. Okay? Was just a knee job. And they're making it sound like, well, this guy told you who he was. No, Jimmy Johnson started the totem pole thing. And the totem pole for players is this. How good are you? I'm going to put up with this much shit because you're this good on the totem pole and you're up high. You're down here on the totem pole and you're down here at the bottom. I'm putting up with this much shit of you. And if you don't produce, I'm putting up with no shit. Out. I don't need it. I don't like dumb players. I'll tell you that. He's been on here, 20 times? So if you're this, you get a lot of latitude. You get a lot of latitude. If you this contribution, like that Derek Barnett guy is the only problem that I see the Eagles have. That guy would have been fired 4 years ago if Coach Johnson was the head coach of the Eagles. He ain't putting up with that guy. That guy has more dumb moments in his Eagle career than he has good moments. Why would you have a guy like that on your team? He's a walking, waiting disaster. That's a guy that gets your programming problems. Okay? Derek Barnett is a loser. I don't want any of that on my team. Can't have undisciplined players, man. Cowboys have a whole shit ton of them. You want to know why Derek Barnett's not a good player? Derek Barnett. Derek Barnett. That's why he's not a good player. Derek Barnett. And, dude, I don't know what's up with the media in Philly giving that guy hall passes for being a completely non-productive player. First-round draft choice, who's like on some sort of like GI Bill or a scholarship. It's like he's on scholarship. Yeah, you know, maybe in his senior year he'll turn out to be somebody. Okay? He's a stiff. Okay? Hey, Seals, I got a Derek Barnett jersey. Dude, I wouldn't wear that to barbecues. You might get laughed at by Eagle fans. Okay? Derek Gray goes like this. Derek Barnett. So, hey, how many people on that Eagle team lack discipline? In the starting 22. None. None. How many people lack discipline in the Cowboys starting 22? Dak, Throw the ball away, not in the double coverage. Why is it so hard for people like Dak and Wentz to do this? Well, I'd rather have an incomplete pass than a pick. Something wrong with you. That's not confidence. That's playing low percentage success. Brady never played. Jalen doesn't play his game like that. Jalen doesn't play his game like that. I'll throw it away. I'll take an incomplete pass. Live another day. No turnover. Carson Wentz. Boom. Kick. 3. Touchdown. 7 down. This guy is a one-man field position changer, Wentz. Look at the discipline issues. CeeDee Lamb. That guy does not run good routes. Diggs. Gambles. I'll take Bradbury. I think Bradbury, I like the way he plays, man. He's a consistent corner. Doesn't get beat plus 25. Doesn't gamble. He does. You know what? Let me tell you what's great about Bradbury. He'd rather give up the 10-yard play than the plus 25 play any day. And he does it. He doesn't believe that he's going to play against a quarterback that's going to go 14-18 for 320 yards and 5 touchdowns on him. He don't believe that, and nor do I, unless you play Mahomes. Then it's a different conversation. But how many Mahomeses are there in the NFL? There's a one of. Allen will make a mistake in a game. Garoppolo will – every guy, maybe not Burrow will make a mistake in a game. See, the guy that won't make the mistake in a game, I think Mahomes will make more of a mistake because I think he believes he can throw his team out of trouble, and he can. Hurts is not going to throw his team into trouble. Like, how many people believe that Jalen Hurts will have a 3-pick game this year? I'm not sure. I don't even know the last time has he ever had a 3-pick game? Has he ever had a 3-pick game? In his two years starting, I don't think he's ever had a 3-pick game. Okay, I don't. I don't believe you're not going to see that. Hey, Aaron Rodgers, am I going to see 3 picks maybe? Yeah. Mahomes, yeah, I could see 5 touchdowns and 3 picks. Burrow, I could see 3 picks, 2 TDs. Same with Allen. I'm not going to see 3 picks. If anything, I'm going to see this. 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Like shit like that. Keith, he had 3 picks in that Giants game against Daniel Jones his first year starting. Okay, so he's had 1. That's really exceptional. That's really exceptional, okay, that he's only had 1 or 2 in his career. All right, hour number 3. We're going to look at the final week of the exhibition season. Do me a favor. 40th anniversary of Hooters is the official home of the National Football Show this fall, and we so look forward to having you out there with us at the King of Prussia. I've posted a event calendar that I'm going to be in town each and every single weekend. We're actually going to be doing also some tailgating at the link. So you got to find out over at Dan Sileo Show. I posted it all. You'll see it there. Please make sure also with the 40th anniversary, you understand something with the 7 locations. If you can't get to the King of Prussia, they got 7 locations in the Northeast area. All you have to do is go to northeasthooters.com to find that location nearest you for you and enjoy what I've been talking about now for over 40 years. No matter what the market is, I've had them part of my program for my 30-year career when it comes to broadcasting. The Iconic Hooter girls are going to be there to serve you. Some great specials Tuesdays. You buy 10 wings, you get 10 boneless free. Wing Wednesdays, 1983, all you can eat. Kids eat free on Saturdays. I love this one, too, where you get to put 6 items together, steamers, some of the great sandwiches, a hamburger, your favorite draft, $6. Simple as that. Also, the happy hours that they have, you have to get there. Go to northeasthooters.com to find that location nearest you. Don't forget, again, we'll be doing all these great events with the King of Prussia Hooters. We look forward to seeing you out there. And when you get to Hooters, do me a favor. You tell them Big Sil sent you.